Oh, what's up? Friday morning. I'm already 3 cups of coffee in. I've had 3 pitches. We're in the final stretch here, Josh. And
fuck, are we ever?
Demo day is literally 6 days away, and this is my favorite time because you get to see teams working for 3 months, if many longer than that, and kind of people need to raise their head from like the details of all this sort of stuff to try to communicate this thing. And it's, I think, a very confronting process for many folks, because I don't know, maybe I believe that like it's almost impossible for you to tell a clear story about your own product because you're just too in the weeds around everything. And so this process of like zooming out and making things land, and there's no like shortcut to it, right? You kind of have to like dredge the depths of your brain and belief and understanding of the market. And
I love that. I love that like moment of realization where it's like, oh yeah, we know exactly how to tell our story. Like it's all we think about. We do this every day, and then they'll like put a presentation together, kind of pitch it, and then they're like, oh, that didn't feel good.
Like, ah, shit. I love it though, and but the progress you see in it in like the 2 weeks or a week, it's gonna be great. So demo days June 20th at 10 a.m. 9:30 a.m. It's June 20th.
I'm not gonna say anything. I have no idea.
I forget the time. Anyways, we got a great show today. Apparently, we're streaming this on sanko.tv. I have no idea what the fuck that means. I click some buttons, and people keep trying to get me to do drugs on stream on the internet. They're like, dude, you need some DMT, man. You need some DMT. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means. So I feel like the kickoff of the show, Sanko TV, then right into what the fuck is Peace doing on chain. Kind of concerned about that structure. With some layer 3 conversations, Zapper, Rug Fun back. Okay, they're back with V2. Far terminal, and then a lightning round. I don't know what's happened on the internet this week, Josh. I've been in a completely other world.
It's been a scramble. It's been a scramble this morning for me, honestly, but I think we got some stuff.
But cool. All right. Well, we should probably
let's do it.
Let's just do this. GM episode 33 of Internet Explorers, live here, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, every Friday. Joined here with Josh. How we doing, Josh?
Great, man. I'm great. I'm in transit back to the homeland to see the parents for a week. So doing this from the bedroom of a friend's place, which is always nice.
I like this because Josh travels with literally one bag, and 33% of that bag is his microphone setup.
Yeah, it's exactly it.
And we got Peace Node. How we doing, Peace?
Doing good. Cruising right along.
What are we eating today?
We got a good old-fashioned roast beef sandwich with provolone and cottage cheese. Low on sauce, so it's just like mustard and cottage cheese.
That's
moving on from that, whatever the hell that is. I'm not a cottage cheese fan here. I don't quite get it. Anyways, it's a whole other conversation, I'm sure. It is June 14th, which means in 6 days, Seed Club Demo Day will be live and online. There are hundreds, I think we're 500-600 people already RSVP'd. We've got a whole bunch more that are going to come in last minute. It's going to be streamed here on this platform, live.seedclub.xyz, and wherever else you like to stream your. I think we'll probably do it to LinkedIn so we can get the 7 people. I think we're up to 7 people over on LinkedIn who are excited about it. But I'm so excited for this. There's a couple surprises we have. And the thing I'm most excited about is just the incredible products these folks are building. Like, I think it's going to expand your understanding of the potentials of where consumer crypto can go. There can be a lot of things you can go do and click and use right away. And then a whole bunch of stuff that you'll probably be able to get on the list to be the absolute first user of, which to me is the most exciting thing. I think if you think about traditional demo days, this is for investors. You're locked away. You get to be a user. You don't get to be part of the building process. And I think this opportunity here for anybody to come and hang out and see the earliest sort of representations of these visions these people are building is really exciting. We also launched a highly regarded quiz this week, which is well, you probably saw it on your timeline, and you can go through and do this lovely BuzzFeed style quiz. Literally, the questions are unhinged. The results are even more unhinged. And you're going to want to hold on to the NFT, or at least one of these NFTs, if you're joining us on the 20th. It's going to unlock a fun little thing you can go do. So if you haven't minted this yet, you can go to live.seedclub.xyz/quiz. We'll drop it in the chat as well, and go through and just question Cheryl's mental sanity as she put this together. You really need to question what is going on in that woman's brain in the most delightful ways.
It's just such a good application of her brain.
It's a perfect application of her brain. Amazing. Okay, so demo day. Is there anything else we need to tell people about before we jump into today's episode?
I don't think so. Just show up. It's a very important moment in time for consumer crypto. I think there's a lot of just like doubt or questioning on where it's going. Is this just going to be kind of speculation and rotating casinos and whatever the kind of popular narrative of the day is forever? And I think these 10 projects are just proof that it won't be.
You don't buy the whole narrative that friend tech is dead and therefore consumer crypto is dead and we should all pack it up and go home?
I do not buy that narrative, no.
Shocking to me, Josh. Absolutely shocking. Cool. All right. Well, let's jump into today's episode. Lots to get into.
Yeah, let's get Smoovie up here.
Smovies from Sanko. Is that right?
Yeah, Smoovie, what's up, man? Is it Sanko or Sanko?
Hey guys. I say Sanko. Happy to be here. You know, I guess it depends on where you're from, what your accent is, but yeah, I normally go with Sanko. But yeah, what's up?
Okay, I get it, because you know, it's either Toronto or Toronto, and it's Toronto if you're from Canada, so it's Sanko or Sanko if you. I get it. Okay, I'm with it.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, man, pumped to chat. I think I've been very intrigued by Sanko. I'll say Sanko for quite a while. I think maybe first came on my radar when you guys launched kind of Sanko TV, and then I've just been like tapping into like little bits and pieces of it. And I think I think the thing that has captivated me so much is just how intriguing each of these like little bits and pieces of like Sanko TV and, you know, the DMT token, which I think is just awesome in its own right. But I have like no idea how to kind of piece all these things together into an understanding of what like Sanko the world is. But I've loved it regardless. So I'm excited to kind of get into all that. And like, maybe that's the place to start. Like, how do you, like, what is Sanko? How do you kind of talk about this kind of like big world thing you're building?
Yeah, no, that's true. It's kind of difficult to explain. It's a pretty multifaceted thing at this point. We kind of joke that it's a multimedia conglomerate. By now, it started as a very gaming-centric universe, but now, you know, last year we added Sanko TV, which was the first social network, essentially in universe Clubhouse. The essential, you know, idea or thing is it's sort of like an all-encompassing universe or ecosystem or whatever network where essentially people can connect to each other through this sort of anything that they want to do, anything that seems fun to us or to people that want to engage with Sanko is kind of within the realm of possibility of what's going to happen. But yeah, maybe to your point, it makes sense to, you know, go into a little of how we started.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I'm okay. Background of me. Hi, I'm Mr. Smoovie Williams. I'm one of the co-founders of Sanko, along with my associate, Mr. Phone. We started working on Sanko together probably around 3 years ago. I think late 2021 is when we started working on things privately together. And the first, you know, kind of just like collaborating on projects were IRL friends. And then kind of like spring 2022 is when we started talking about Sanko or releasing it in earnest. It started, the first launch was like an NFT project called Sakura Park. And essentially like the lore or the backstory is that when we like announced Sanko or first started talking about it, the idea is that Sanko is like a a gaming giant from the 80s and 90s, sort of like a contemporary of Sega or Nintendo, like a publisher like this, that released this like catalog of like classic 80s 90s games, arcade games, and then went defunct around Y2K due to like really bad business decisions. And that we, as this new entity, as the new Sanko, kind of reacquired all of the titles, the games, the library, and could like re-release these classic games. But that's like essentially all a psyop. Like Sanko never existed. All of this stuff that's like a re-release from the 90s is, you know, original Sanko lore we're kind of creating now. But yeah, so we kind of just put that out without really explaining it, and people didn't really get it. There was kind of this Mandela effect where people thought they remembered Sanko or were like really excited and hyped, and like after minting already would then like Google it and find that nothing existed, even in spite of their memory that they knew it existed. And so then there was kind of, I don't know, people were into it, to our surprise and, you know, delight. And so then it kind of became this thing where it's like, okay, so this is sick as an art project, but when are the games coming out? When are you guys launching the stuff? And at the time, that was news to us. We didn't really have plans for the stuff either. So we were like, oh, okay, sick. I guess we will start making games or some other things. So it kind of grew from there. We started working with other people. We started making the games in earnest. That was May 2022 when the first launches happened, kind of right in between the Luna collapse and then the 3AC liquidation. So it was this very sort of weird twilight where like people were excited. People would be really excited about the project in the Discord or wherever. And then the next week would be this like feeling of like catastrophic misery where everyone was like getting liquidated and, you know, losing everything. Anyway, so starting from there, we kind of worked over the next year to build out the gaming platforms. And so like close to a year later, May 2023 is when we put out the Dream Machine, which is like the first arcade platform with the first couple games that we put out. It's sankodreammachine.net. It's like an arcade on Arbitrum. And so that's when we launched the token DMT. It's essentially the sort of like per play, it's the ecosystem token. It kind of powers everything in the universe. So we put out the first gaming platform and did the token then as a fair launch. You know, anyone, if you had the NFTs, you got airdropped. If you had Miladies, you got airdropped. There was no like pre-sale or seed or angel round. Like no one got any private access to the token. Essentially, everyone in the public could access the token all at once. And yeah, that was around this time last year. It was really fun. I think kind of just by how tokens work or how gaming platforms work, more people got interested. It's kind of like a social multiplier or something. And then we kind of just took it from there. Going then to once that was out, we were like, oh, like gaming is great, but you know, it would be really sick is like if our community had like its own clubhouse, like a place that was like fully for our own network. So we started spitballing ideas for that. And that's how Sanko TV came about, this sort of like all-inclusive social network, which you guys are streaming on now. That's sort of like streaming live video on demand, like you can upload content and you know, like chat room, message board, clubhouse.
Fuck, man, there's so much I love about that. Yeah, I think both Jess and I are kind of captivated by this idea of like either starting at the point of culture or like starting with tokens and really kind of flipping the kind of the way that network formation has historically happened on its head, right? Like the last 10 years, it's been like chain and protocols, and then convince people to come build, and then, you know, try to build applications that justify your existence as a chain. And, you know, I think the path that you guys took of just kind of starting with lore and building, you know, this world that people cared about and resonated with and wanted to be a part of, and then NFT projects and being like, oh shit, people want more, like let's aggregate this, you know, attention extend like the service area that the scene can kind of express this enjoyment on and add products. And then I think just recently you guys launched an L3 as well, right? So I just love this as kind of a playbook of, you know, starting with the scene, starting with a community, starting with culture, and kind of the opportunities you have to just kind of expand from there and vertically integrate. And eventually I think there's opportunities to become this big network that a bunch of people are participating in and wanting to be a part of.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it all kind of happened organically. Also, like, just based on like what we were capable of at the time, you know, like we started with 2 people. Each launch, we've been fortunate that it grows, you know, whether it's like an NFT or like a platform that people can use, social network, the chain. You know, there's this kind of idea in crypto that like shipping is bearish, or like projects being realized, or like actually having something real is actually bad. It's the end. We found it to be the opposite. Kind of like, we just always want to put something that seems fun to us out, and each time we put something out, each launch, it seems like people, you know, we find a new audience, the audience grows, or something that people are interested, and like other people who essentially want to be collaborators join. So it's like, we were capable of what we could first put out 2 years ago, and then from it growing from there, that's how we were able to put games or the social network or the chain out. Now, so last month, in May, which is kind of like around the 1-year anniversary of the token or the gaming platform coming out, we launched Sanko Mainnet, the Orbit chain, sort of like self-contained chain, with our first flagship game, which is here, Sanko Pets, and sort of all the sort of chain infrastructure that someone would need, like a DEX, an NFT DEX, charting terminal, all of that good stuff. All of that we wanted. If we wanted to do a chain because it sounded fun, and again, it makes sense to have like a hub for all of these things. But if we put something out, we wanted it to have, here, it looks like maybe you need a bun or something to play. Maybe somebody could send him one, or I can.
Of course you need a bun, Peace. Come on. Get your shit together.
Dude, I've been sleeping. I burned my allocation. I have no bun. Absolute Sanko peasant over here.
Well, it happens. No shame. But yeah, it was like, oops.
No, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I was just gonna say, yeah, we put the chain out last month. Again, it's all kind of an experiment, but yeah, each one of these launches seems to be something that like reaches new people. I don't know, Sanko Pets and the ideas behind it, how the game works, has kind of been my focus for the last few months. So I'm really excited to see it out in people's hands.
So we've talked a lot about L3s and thought a lot about L3s, and to me, they sort of live in this like kind of middle ground, right? Like there's a sense of people being excited about them from the infrastructure side of things, and almost like a lot of almost skeuomorphic thinking towards L2s. I think we've sort of seen some early teams make some decisions around around their L3s that kind of put them more into the bucket of like infrastructure. The idea that for there to be value in this narrative is that people need to come build on top of my chain. But there also seems to be this sort of sense that the network can just kind of be a thing, and that it almost like realizes the belief and excitement of a group of people to kind of have a sense of ownership over this network, even if that network is pretty limited in its usage, or maybe used in a way that's not like an L2. So I'm curious what your thinking is as far as like where the value from a network comes from.
My thinking is, I mean, L3s as a whole, it just democratizes the infrastructure so that different groups of people can access the ability to publish their own infrastructure, or kind of control these things or make decisions that maybe wouldn't otherwise. And I think to a point, as a whole, it probably lowers the idea of the value of infrastructure in general. Like, I think you see these like chains launching these like phantom L1s that are still launching with like $10 billion FDV, and it isn't really related to any sort of tangible value or usage. In my view, the value of all things in crypto or in general comes from users. Like, it comes from usage. We're very proud that we already have the highest TVL among any L3, or we have like the highest, determinable user metrics. And to us, that suggests, like, my thinking about L3s in that regard is that we want the experience to be no different in a chain perspective than if you're on, say, Solana. And I mean that in a good way, not in the like constant failed transactions on Radium or whatever. But I mean in the sense that it's like as accessible, super fast, super cheap. You can have the ideal user experience so that it's indistinguishable from like L1, L2, L3 becomes meaningless. It all comes down to how good the user experience is. And if it is good, and if you have everything in place that everyone wants to use, then that determines where things go from there.
So the core for your strategy around the L3s, you just need to have dope things built on this chain, and therefore, and that'll be a valuable endeavor. So it is very much like an L2 in that thinking that this is infrastructure, and the value that infrastructure grows by developers building on top of it.
Definitely. Developers building things that people want to use. I mean, us as Sanko, is our manifest or our mission is just to do things that are fun. We generally have a good feeling or a sense that if we think an idea is fun or it would be cool, then the people that are our friends, our community, or our users will also think it's fun.
That's how we make decisions as well. So identify with that deeply.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, totally.
I think it's interesting to we've talked a lot about even on the stream, this idea of like there's almost like the factory farmed tokens and like the organic free range tokens, and we've come through this era where like there's no shortage of gaming infrastructure plays, right, that have probably been funded, I don't know, many orders of magnitude larger than I'm assuming the funding that you've had, though we haven't talked about that yet. But it just seems more likely to me that the compelling on-chain experiences games are probably going to come from the bottoms up with the group of people who are just excited to fuck around with stuff than to be like imposed from the top down in some AAA game.
That's the thing. You can't fake the funk, man. Like it does all happen naturally. To your point,
that's such a good statement.
Yeah, to your point about funding, which I think is really important. So we have zero. We're entirely self-funded. We're entirely self-started. And to clarify, it's like myself and Mr. Phone, the founders, we didn't, quit our IRL jobs into the life of the project. I think probably people would be surprised the extent that we were still working IRL on things. But yeah, I think that's liberating in a way, in that no one can tell us what to do. Like, Sanko has complete independent control of itself, which, like, these AAA games, there might be things where the infrastructure looks great or whatever, but there's a lot of decisions that are like made in like a boardroom or top down, or like are like made in a blog post or a Medium or something, and then that isn't really gonna find people, or isn't quite gonna be as fun as people are hoping it to be. I think that's been our plan, is to do everything organically, hoping that would work, and that's something that people would like and would resonate with. And I think we've been very fortunate thus far to find that it does interest people.
Can we talk about DMT maybe more specifically, and your like intention when you launched it, and then also kind of what it's grown into? Because I think that's also so core to this, whatever, kind of like organic, kind of free range, you can't fake the funk idea. And I think there's so many people kind of go this, I don't know, points, overhype it, kind of big drop, chart goes straight down, everyone's pissed, no one actually cared about it in the first place. And I think you guys kind of came out with it in like the complete opposite way, which has obviously been incredibly useful for community building and just allowing the people who have been here to, get meaningful exposure and support the project. So we'd love to just hear kind of like the initial, like when you decided to launch it, you didn't have a chain. So why did you decide to launch it? And then kind of how do you think about DMT today?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point or a great question. I mean, we personally have a big background in crypto. I mean, we're as users, as retail. We've both been into it probably since in around 2017. That's myself and Phone, the other founder. So we have a lot of experience of using things and what kind of our wishes for like a product or a network could be. Like, we remember Jewel, or we remember SBF FTX coins like Serum or whatever that were essentially high FDV down only. We kind of, I don't know, it always feels like naive or wag me to say aloud, but we are kind of like crypto true believers in the way, like the core tenets of crypto of like cypherpunk or fair launches or things without pre-mines, etc. That appeals to us. Not that we're like extreme zealots about some of that. I think we both think that there's a lot of things about Ethereum and the way it launched and things like that are really beautiful, and that we wanted to essentially replicate or do with our own ideas, and see if that worked for like a gaming thing. We didn't necessarily know how it would work. Like when we put the token out, yes, it was pre-chain, but it wasn't pre the games needing the token to interact with the games. So there was still sort of like utility use basis. We've always viewed it as a utility token, or something that's like connected with the actual organic use of this stuff. And yeah, I think what we've learned a lot about tokens from there is that if they aren't down only, if they aren't exploitative, extractive schemes, they actually have this very interesting social multiplier effect that happens where, again, it sounds very corny and wag me and like very something that a lot of CT would be very cynical about, but it is something where people form a community or whatever around it, and they find common value or discussion with each other, and they're sort of like able to grow their own insular thing from there. And I think when you give people, we always say it's like, in this case where there are no unlocks, there are no private investors, there's no sword of Damocles of a massive dump looming over your head. It gives people the feeling that they can actually experience the positive network effects of something organic, where like as it grows, they experience the positive network effects of that via something like the token. So they really feel like a part of it in a different way.
Preach.
Love that. Also, just watching Peace just hang out on Sanko TV.
I mean, he's just enamored of the chat here. He's up in.
I don't know. I honestly don't know how. Like, Peace is like the ultimate Sanko community member. I think. I don't know why he hasn't been on there.
I don't either.
Well, we solved it today.
Yeah, well, we all have stuff going on. We're all busy. To this day, I still have yet to stream. I'm a simp on Sanko TV. I gift everybody and I show up in people's chats, but I have never actually streamed myself.
Well, you kind of did, I guess, in a way.
Yeah,
Chat's going wild. That's going wild.
I've made some appearances.
Yeah,
we're calling you retail, Schmoov. So
hey, I am. I'm proud of it.
If you're retail, what does that make me? Is the one chat piece that stood out.
That was a great line.
Well, all
right, man. Well,
we're all someone's retail.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I see so many similarities in how we see the world here. So it's been incredible to have you on here today. Give us a bit of an intro. Give us some more buttons to go click on chain. What do people have to look forward to? What are you working on right now?
Well, I mean, a bunch of stuff. Where to start? Updates came in Sanko Pets this week. Hibernation started. If you haven't fed your bun, it goes into hibernation, and you can right now, but if a hibernating bun will not be able to access the farm or the mini games like the wheel, There's more fun mini games coming. Like Sanko Pets is something that it's always evolving, or it's always going to be growing on a daily or weekly basis. We kind of modeled that on Neopets, where with Neopets, the game was different every day. There were new games, new items, like every single day something changed, which to us is really interesting. For Sanko TV, I think GB, Kurtner, the dev, one of the main devs on that, just put out some new like custom stickers and emotes. So there's like new bells and whistles on Sanko TV. And for the chain, for the core infrastructure, we just made multi-sigs available today. So if you're bridging a large amount of liquidity over, or an amount that's a large amount to you, you can put it in a multi-sig on Sanko. It's in collaboration with Den. It's the same contracts as Safe or Gnosis, if you're familiar with those multi-sigs. That was kind of important to us. But yeah, it's like, and a few other platforms additionally as well. There might be something very fun to do with meme coins coming shortly. But yeah, that's
there you
kind
go.
of how
Josh's eyes perk up.
Let's go.
Like Dan is part of the Seed Club family, so love to hear that you're working with those guys. Great human beings.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right, we got to leave it there. We got a lot else to get into here, but I think you've probably piqued the interest of a lot of our viewers here today. Love that.
Yeah,
this is
no
the very
worries.
first show. We're up on sanko.tv, and I think that's maybe the first of many. Seems like a very natural place for us to stream to here.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Happy to have you here. And yeah, hope I didn't ramble too much. Thanks for indulging me.
That was wonderful.
It was
We
beautiful.
love a good rant. We love a
Thanks
good
for
rant.
coming, dude.
Yeah, appreciate you taking
Yeah.
time.
Cheers. No worries. Take care, guys.
All right.
Peace.
So, fuck yes.
Big time.
I don't know. I think we probably share a sense that this is like more of the future
100%.
than kind of the world that we're in right now, and that I'm not sure most people like. I think it's fun to be in these moments where you're like, oh, actually, I think that's clearly going to be the future, and then you look around and be like, well, but other people don't think that. Like the vast majority of people don't think that right now, and
Totally.
it's important not to be shaken from your beliefs here. Tokens are cool. Being a part of the story of tokens in a way that feels fair and that you feel early to is really essential. And I don't see that like that's happening in meme coins, but I think there's like a sense of that falling off a little bit. Or there's only so much scale I think you can get out of just a pure attention speculation. I think it can get a lot bigger, but from a builder perspective, kind of hard to wrap your head around how you go do that consistently. But this feels like we start to sit in, so the world that I think we're more comfortable in. I'd frame up Seed Club using much of the same language he's using for gaming there. This idea of there being like a home base, this world that you can be a part of. There's a network that you can be an owner in that you can build on. And I think it's pretty expansive.
Yeah, I started writing or working on my Enjoy pitch for next week, and like I think it was like late last night. I was in the car driving here, Steph was driving, and I was like starting to pound it out. And then this morning started like diving deeper into Sanko, and I was like, oh, this is like
a new type of thing. You can see the roots back to things like Friends with Benefits or back to some of the other DAO components.
I kind of wrote this. Sorry, keep going.
Well, these L3s is maybe like the new representation of that and far more accessible. It's like the thing that enabled token gated chats and discords and sort of that speculative interest in tokens that represented that was just like this really easy mechanism that you could use to add utility to a token. And like maybe the corollary there is like the ability to spin up an L3 today. Like it's not meaningfully more difficult. I mean, it is, but it's within the realm of possibility for many more teams.
Yeah, this line kind of came out that was like, we need more tokens that kind of have the like expansive ambitions of like infrastructure tokens, but the kind of like identity mimetic, like grassrootsiness of meme coins. And I think tokens and worlds that can kind of combine those two things, which this feels like Sanko feels kind of bang on to, I think are going to be the big dogs of tomorrow.
I love that we didn't even ask what Mr. Smoovie Williams was referring to. I feel like there's just some core info we missed out on here.
Mr. Phone too.
Yeah, I mean the combination of those I think is key.
People kept talking about this wheel. Anyways, my mind's captivated by
I mean, I think there's sort of this like byproduct of meme coins where there's like a disdain for them, I think, that emerges around them, that we're kind of in that narrative, or at least that's been a persistent narrative. I think we're going to have a version of that around some of the early gaming products that really hit. So if you look at what's happening in the Telegram ecosystem, which we're increasingly interested, those games look pretty lame right now, right? Like why would I want to tap a button and get some rewards? Or there's going to be a lot of mini games, a lot of like, think back to the early Facebook games, etc. But my God, are they generating a ton of attention? Mm-hmm. And so I think there's going to be, again, this like if I want to be a serious product, do I want to be building growth loops on Telegram and adding in these like cheesy incentives that are the things that are ultimately going to work? But I think that they're going to work, and that's going to bring a lot of people into using them. And then again, the question will be, how do we go use them in longer term ways rather than just purely short term ways? So
100%.
Be prepared to be disappointed in some of the products that come out here in the next little while that hit, because they're going to make your over intellectualized brain go, fuck.
It's the story of crypto existence.
Exactly.
In the best of ways. All right,
let's rock and roll.
What the fuck is peace doing on chain?
Of course.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. So this week, back on Bitcoin, baby, with the mother chain. There are 6 days left to bridge your Soggets, your Lasaghetti. And so I took the plunge and I burned them right onto the mother chain. So Lasaghetti is a project by Le Puppet, the creator of Bitcoin Puppets, and Radbro hooked it up with this sick bridge to the mother chain. And basically, you just connect your Bitcoin wallet, connect your ETH wallet, bang on a transaction, and then it sends them. And it's really cool. So like, this is what they look like on ETH. This is I guess it's a communist one, but a sleepy one, which is nice. And then I love it. They get like super compressed here. Come on. Yeah, that's nice. Look at that. You even see the individual layers load, which is fucking lit because of, what is it, recursion? I don't know. I'm not a developer, but
it's sick. It's sick how you can actually like taste the difference of it being on Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, it has to be made, like, all the layers are made small as hell so that it even loads.
Which it's not doing.
It's just, which it's not doing, which is super annoying. But here's like this is like how small it is on Bitcoin, which is awesome. So you have to zoom in and it's like all shitty. Oh yeah, this is my other Lasaghetti, but that's fine.
Did Bitcoin or change it from being communist to not communist?
No, that was just a different token. Yeah.
That would have been pretty incredible.
I know. No, I had a pair of these bad boys. So let's see.
Okay, so can I ask an important question?
Yeah.
Why?
Because provenance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just cooler. I don't know. It's literally stored on chain now, which is sick, and it's worth its weight in Satoshis, whereas an NFT is just literally a hyperlink worth nothing on Ethereum. Not even worth its weight in Ethereum, and it's stored on IPFS. So
it's gained mass. It is.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I like
so that. Actually, that just makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like if you see the way it's loaded, it happens in all these different layers because each layer asset is actually minted individually, and then the ordinal refers to those other places that is stored on Bitcoin and assembles it all together to create this locked state. So yeah, it's just cool.
All right. Well, I'm happy that we've gone back into Bitcoin. I feel like there was like a ton of hype around it, and then people were like, "Oh no, well, that's interesting. Bitcoin's dead, runes are dead, etc." Which is very rarely the case. So I love that you're back into poking buttons.
Sounds like a bottom signal to me.
Totally. And yeah, I was stoked to come here and find out also that Rad Bro is launching a rune, and this is just like, I think it's a master class here. I mean, look at this. The supply is only 210,000, which is 100 times rarer than Bitcoin. Fucking amazing. And you can only get this rune in two ways. You can claim it with Radbro ordinals or buy it on secondaries. So the first 20,000 runes will be distributed to the 5,000 Radbro ordinals via a gradual emission over 30 days. So it's hodl to earn, which means only delisted Radbros will be earning these runes. And when you click these little fuckers, you can just like in real time see my count of runes going up, and yeah, pretty satisfying. And so I can't wait to get in here and be able to claim these fellas. But claiming is not live. And let's see, does it give us info? Follow Radbro Webring. Nice. Will do.
All right.
So that's what I've been up to. Good stuff.
I love that you're back on your bullshit.
Oh yeah.
That's great. All right. I love having 19 minutes for all of this. Actually. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to kick off talking about, I don't know, Jess, we've kind of been banging our heads together a bunch about, I guess, just this like on-chain distribution ecosystem. I think consumer crypto product discovery, just kind of like a bunch of stuff that kind of layer 3 is kind of exploring and sitting on. So they announced, I guess, a $15 million Series A raise this week, pretty significant. It's been on a pretty cool journey over the last couple of years, kind of evolving from a DAO bounty platform, which is like very much how I still remember them, or I'm kind of like anchored on the original layer 3. But I think over the last couple of years, they've really kind of evolved into this like attention token distribution network they are today. And I think what's pretty powerful is which Regan, the Lattice, who I think led their ABC round or something, laid out in a thread he wrote, is they're actually like a top 5 product across Arbitrum, Optimism, and Base, which is pretty impressive. So I think just kind of highlights both like the demand for better opportunity discovery on the kind of consumer retail side, and also just of course the eternal need for distribution and usage on the kind of product or protocol or kind of network side. So kind of imagine a core path for people onboarding into crypto is going to be getting like hooked by some app that whatever speaks to some like desire or need they have. They'll play with it, be like, oh, this crypto stuff's kind of cool, and then like what next is kind of an important question to be able to answer. And I think there are kind of a number of projects kind of running at being that answer. I do think go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been thinking about this a lot, because I think there's Galaxy is another one that I think has come out of the Binance ecosystem. Obviously, Boost, another one. They're trying to go at a general.
Even like Daylight Launchcaster, they're kind of in this like.
Yeah, I think there's like almost like two approaches here, and one I think is going to seem really easy to get excited about, and the other is going to be harder to get excited about. But I wonder where the value flies. So like there's like a model that gets run by folks like Layer 3, where really you're trying to go out and do as many interesting partnerships. Like the more compelling the experiences you can offer to people, the more likely people will come and sign up for your platform. And in crypto, that's like you get exposure to airdrops. And so by coming up with that really simple marketing message, they're able to generate an absurd amount of users, right? There's like millions upon millions of users across these different platforms. But I think the core question is like, are those valuable users, or how valuable are those users are? And so I think from like a platform perspective, it's valuable because you can point to being the number one, a large user of all these different chains, having a huge number of people who've signed up. But there's, and almost you can kind of like brush aside the fact that like a lion's share of those will probably be bots or Sybil attackers, etc. And so probably very strong from like a network narrative, underpins the token launch, etc. Big question mark around the enduring value
100%.
of that in my mind, especially since so many of these have used each other to kind of like siphon off attention and kind of grow up. Like there's just kind of like this parasitic.
When you kind of see that when you look, actually, piece that Mary tweet that I shared, I think sums that up really well. Like the vast majority of users on these platforms are bots. And I think, because of that, you actually see most of the like customers of the platform they're like the things that they want transaction numbers, and they're just trying to aggregate liquidity. So it's DeFi, it's protocol, it's chains. So I think, to your point, like the big question is, all these like social or more like culturally motivated projects that are, coming down the pipeline, things like Sanko, right? Who have these huge opportunities. Obviously you're going to need distribution and to, find the right people who are going to care about their thing, but it's probably not going to be in the same place that, the protocols are going to go.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and speaking with the layer 3 team, they're talking about wanting to turn attention into a commodity. It's kind of like the core idea that you can, if you need that as part for your product, you can just kind of like go buy it, like you buy sulfur or whatever, right? Which clearly there's, that's advertisement, as Facebook. So I think there's clearly a big market here. I think the ability in which these teams have to be able to like target beyond the sort of general is probably going to be a big one. And I think that again is like the argument that like a Galaxy or Layer 3 would make, is that they can kind of sit on top of these places and give people a reason to kind of like associate their identity in whatever format that looks like with themselves. And therefore you can imagine a bunch of like more nuanced distributions happening after it. So I think it's really interesting. I think it's interesting that the VCs are very excited about it. To me, that just says, okay, they're getting ready to launch a token. So congratulations to them.
Layer 3 chain is coming soon for sure. Oh, there it is. Is that real? Okay,
it's their token. I don't think they've said Layer 3, but yeah, interesting. Something that we're definitely paying attention to is, I think, our belief in distribution and attention as like a core component to what we're building in Seed Club, but then also just to any product success is big. So I'd sort of put Layer 3 in these Quest platforms as like a really interesting tool. Daylight, really interesting tool. I think Telegram apps are the other really interesting tool that I would put in the same basket, and they're all competing for that same thing of like, how do you go find pockets of attention, deliver compelling experiences, leverage those experiences to reach more people. Anyways,
I mean, they're all tools. There's a CAC LTV calculation to do somewhere, and if it makes sense, then giddy up.
I mean, watching what Adam Levy and Cooper have been doing on Boost is also interesting. They have Dune dashboards up. You can they've used Layer 3, they've used Boost to drive very specific outcomes, which are mints of a podcast or mints of a song, and done it pretty economically so far. So I think you can go search those Dune dashboards if you want to have a look at those.
Yep. All right, cool. Let's jump over to the software creator. So I had this on our stack last week, but I don't know, Derek and I got too caught up in other topics and we never got to it. So just wanted to highlight it again here, because I think it's just such an interesting concept, and I think touches on, or really like underpins, some of the opportunities that we've been talking about existing in crypto. So, and you wrote a great article here, just kind of highlighting the inevitable rise of software creators in the age of AI. So she talks about how, the democratization of media creation ultimately led to content creators, and the democratization of software is going to lead to software creators. So I think one good quote from the article was that software will no longer be built just by a professional class for a professional class. Just like content, software will now be created by everyone for everyone, and to serve every kind of need, big or small. So I think, just kind of highlights, I think the two kind of crypto opportunities that I think feels very relevant to is the one is like ephemeral apps, right? Like the opportunity to lean into the like episodic nature of the internet and our attention, and really build companies around launching intentionally ephemeral apps. And, if that gets easier and easier to launch, really like all value is going to kind of flow and get captured by like the most creative and captivating brands. And I think we're just very excited by crypto as a insanely powerful tool to actually, capture value and monetize, these attention spikes on these ephemeral apps, and, ultimately like store the desire to be a part of like the world that's launching these ephemeral apps potentially in tokens. So I think that's one interesting one. And then I think the other one is, I think we've talked about a bunch, but the idea of like anything apps, or, individuals and communities being able to just build things that, aggregate protocols, aggregate identity data, aggregate whatever into these kind of specific these experiences designed for like the specific type of person that is a part of their community or kind of hangs around them. And, again, like if the cost of creation, software creation goes to zero, like, all value is going to flow to these like communities and scenes and brands and that people ultimately want to be a part of. So I think it's just going to get the more I think about this, the more just like insane the future starts to look.
I like agree with so much of that. And I also think it's definitely going to be overstated in the short term. And I think maybe I think content's maybe an incomplete way of framing this, or maybe like what you've seen in content is like a democratization of the ability to publish, but really there is a new expert class that's emerged there, right? And it took much longer in media because it took longer for YouTube to exist. But like there's clearly a major difference between somebody who's professional at YouTube versus the rest. And I would assume that the professionals at YouTube are getting the lion's share of the value or attention there. And so I would frame this as more of like an expansion of the professionalization of software.
That's fair.
And so, but yeah, I think it's most likely bringing down the cost for teams of talented individuals to go do more bigger and interesting things, which I think is the space that we're most interested in.
Yeah, it's gonna like justify more niche.
Exactly.
Ephemeral software
is down for sure. Yeah. Like you can be a van life dude and have your own TV show now, and so you can be whatever the equivalent of that is for software.
Yeah, totally.
Great post.
Great post. Okay, let's jump to Zapper. So they introduced the Zapper protocol this week, really focused on like incentivizing the interpretation and contextualization of on-chain information, which, it's a mouthful, but pretty cool.
What?
So basically they're using their Zap token to like reward people who basically make sense of on-chain actions and contextualize them in ways that are like reproducible and kind of broadly useful to other people. And then kind of, I think the Zapper token is also going to be used as like payment for data to access it. But I think where this gets interesting is, we've long kind of seen just on-chain transactions and on-chain existence as like social media or just media more generally. And I think, we've seen one approach to that is kind of what like Interface is doing, which is kind of the like scaled social feed on this data. I follow my friends, I see the transactions they're doing, feels very social, it's awesome and cool. But I think the thing that, we've wanted, I think specifically you've called out for a number of times, is the like less scaled version, but like kind of the more like editorialized kind of focused version of that, which is like the, surfacing, basically creating like media entities around just like surfacing and editorializing like the most interesting on-chain content in kind of like I think you've used like the tech meme for on-chain transactions. And I think Dan was casting about it the other day too. We've had conversations around that with Interface a bunch. I think they're going after a different opportunity, but it just still feels like an obvious thing that
let's just go build the damn thing, man. This is annoying to me at this point.
I agree.
Yes, I want that.
I agree.
I want that. Give me a front page so I can just see what the cool shit that's happened on the chains today was, and we can automate the shit out of that. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, maybe if somebody wants to go build that, come talk to me. How about that?
Exactly. Okay, rugged off. Yeah, just wanted to bring this up again. So obviously we had worm emoji on, I think maybe a month ago, and I think just seeing, running at a pretty interesting idea of just like, creating, using meme coins as social primitives for, games and experiences, and can you build games and experiences that, potentially aggregate attention and like social consensus in ways that like set up meme coins for success in ways that, you just see like a wasteland of tokens and kind of broadly dispersed attention and liquidity on places like pup.fun. So I think when they kind of ran their initial version, which we talked about, basically tokens compete to like steal liquidity from other tokens, and they get aggregated to like the first and 10th finisher. I think what's cool is they ran a few, some things worked, some things didn't, kind of went dark and just relaunched a V2. And I think just seeing what they've changed is pretty like informative. So the kind of core major changes they made is like, one, previously like the tokens were only get deployed to Uniswap at the end, and it was only like the first and 10th token that got deployed. Now any token that reaches some threshold gets deployed. So there's kind of this like, there's trading and speculation and price volatility like during the game, which I think just makes gameplay way more fun. And then the other, I think, really smart move they made was now instead when the liquidity gets rugged from like the 2nd to 9th tokens, it doesn't just go to liquidity of the 1st and 10th token. It actually goes to buy and burn tokens of the first intent. So I think that just creates way more like, again, price action, more speculative kind of surface area there. And then also the liquidity that goes to the first intent token people get to choose like when it gets deployed. So there's like a bump button that people can pay to push that'll actually deploy the liquidity to go buy and burn potentially the token they care about. So I think they've kind of like layered on some more gameplay. I think made it more speculative and fun, more reasons to kind of like continue, I think, playing the game throughout the process. I think their bigger challenge just remains that the memes aren't good on there, and they're mostly just like copycats of other things that have already broken out and like have social consensus. So I don't know how they kind of become like the place to go launch versus just some place people come to play some like very short-lived kind of ephemeral game. But I don't know, cool to see just the evolution of these products and kind of following along with the learnings in real time.
Nice.
And then Far Terminal. So yeah, Carlos, it's funny. I was like, when this came up, I was like, I think I casted about this a while ago. So I dug up a cast from like 4 months ago when I basically asked for this exact thing, but he made it so you can now one-click launch channel tokens or channel coins if you're the host of a Farcaster channel, which I think is pretty cool. Who knows what it becomes, but you see a bunch of people already kind of experimenting with it and trying it again. I think it get really interesting if they also kind of build in the like tipping or like social distribution kind of infrastructure for that channel. I think if they bring in kind of more like social context to the trading, obviously there's like a client opportunity down the road if like channels having coins become ubiquitous. But I think it's a pretty interesting experiment. He launched 24 hours ago, has like maybe a couple $1 million in volume already. So worth paying attention to, I think.
Yeah, lots of interesting. I think there's a huge gap in infrastructure to support meme coins that want to be more than just meme coins. And I'm not convinced that channels are the right structure there, but I think it's an interesting starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like we've had a bunch of these sort of experiments with like Rally or, Roll and the ease of launching the token. It was never the challenge of launching the token that was the hard part. It's like making them compelling and innovative and, valuable was kind of the hard part. So I don't think this removes that, but it definitely does create a pretty simple social context.
Yeah.
It removes a bunch of variables that you could probably bootstrap off it. So yeah, highly likely that somebody comes in and does a novel token here with a channel dynamic at the core. And
I think it helps build like, trust or some guess that it's going to be something if the channel lead of like only the channel owner can actually launch the token, right?
Right.
So if you launch a channel coin of a channel that you're like, the person's like actively managing and there's like 10,000 people in it, there's probably some reason to believe that something interesting could happen.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. All right, Peace, you got some lightning round for us?
What do we have? I think we have this. We have this. We got more. There's more.
On-chain social is better. I mean, it's beautiful storytelling. It pissed a lot of people off. They didn't see themselves listed in there, which is kind of funny. And I was like, that actually probably worked as well.
How about this one?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
What the hell's this?
Eat my shorts, layer 3. One day, $20 million. Instantly, Remilia's coin cult. Guess we got to read the white paper. I only have like 500 words in me, but yeah.
I don't think we get it.
But yeah, just I don't know, just a cool thing. Insane.
What is it? What is cult?
It's their coin, the Remilia coin.
Okay.
And they ran a pre-sale and raised $20 million.
In like a couple hours or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what the Beetle game was for. So thank God I had some Beetle game points. So I got an Allo in, even though I missed the pre-sale, but
an Allo to buy, or you get like an airdrop.
I'll get dropped some Colt. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah.
ICOs, baby. We back?
Yeah, something like that.
Sick.
I love that.
But I need to read more, but it is an interesting comp to layer 3, I think.
Tell me more.
Well, because it is an entirely social and aesthetic thing that transcends all these different chains, and it like really doesn't matter where this token is because it's actually about the group of people.
I love it. Seeing a trend emerge here.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yep.
start placing bets, baby.
I mean, this story goes like this. Twitter's captured by a techno-capital singularity as schizo-autist revolution and white-pilled love-core lock into commoditization takeoff. Logistically accelerating techno-economic interactivity crumbles social order in an auto-sophisticating cult runaway. The hyper-financialized network tribe develop its own market intelligence. Cult. This is like the counter to Kobe saying that market participants are not sophisticated, and this is the chirp back, I guess, from a group of people.
I love that they call it the Milady cult, which is
yeah.
very on the nose, I think.
Yeah.
Amazing. Alrighty, we're at the top of the hour. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Another reminder to come hang out with us next Thursday, June 20th, demo day. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful hour-ish, full of surprise and delight. And man, these teams are they're so good. Just great human beings with these big, absurd visions. And they've all made incredible progress towards them over the last couple months. So excited for you all to get to experience that. So make sure you go mint that highly regarded NFT and come hang out with us on Thursday. Anything else? I feel like that's it. All right, folks, we're back here. Well, we'll see you next time on Thursday, June 20th for Seed Club's 7th demo day.
It's a short week.
The time is right, baby. And then we'll be back here again Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. So probably debrief a bunch of that and more. See what else happens over the week. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks to our guests today. And look forward to seeing you on chain until we see you online next week.